Good morning, guys. MWUSA Season 5, Episode 19, also known as Episode 1000. It is a Friday morning, just heading out for the day, and I was just thinking as I was getting ready to leave about all the things that have happened over the last 3.5 years. First year of the podcast was half a year, and then Seasons 2, 3, and 4 full seasons, and then Season 5 is this year. So we've been going for almost 4 years now, 3.5 years, and it's been quite a journey, to say the least. I never thought that I would get to episode 1000. I never thought I would get to episode 10. It started off as just me letting off some steam and just talking, and I never even thought that the first episode would even get published. And it's grown into something pretty big. I wish I'd turn off these stupid alarms on the car, man. Anyway, so much stuff has happened. Been to so many casinos, literally hundreds of casinos that I've been to, and it's been an incredible journey. Long drives. I've gone days and days living out of the car. I've gone on trips where I haven't slept for days. I've gone on trips where I was there for 4 or 5 days and slept less than 10 hours. I've walked 26 or 28,000 steps in a day. I've had days where there was one day I remember in particular where I lost 17,000 at one place, went to the next place and lost 9, went to the next place and won like 7. And it was one of the craziest days I ever had. And actually that's a memorable day for other reasons too, because that's the first time one of the casinos got my name, and they eventually backed me off, but not for another 3 years after that. And I made so much more money off those guys because I played things the way that I play things, the way that everyone says, oh, it's not possible, it can't be done, how much more could you possibly make? And I took the milking the cow method instead of slaughtering the cow method, and that's the way I've done things. And over time, I've had to go further and further from home to find a casino to play. My closest casino was only about half an hour away. Now my closest casino with blackjack is almost 4 hours away. And still, I get up and I get off my butt and I get out there 5 days a week minimum. And I'm out there making money 6 days a week, actually. Every week, 6 days a week, I'm out there making money and working hard and traveling further in a day than most other advantage players travel in a week. And it's not because I'm special, it's because I don't quit. I don't know when to quit. I'm not the smartest advantage player. I'm not the fastest. I don't have the best memory, but I'll work harder than anybody else, and that's how I make my money. Because I'm not the best, and I don't have the biggest bankroll. The biggest I've ever had in my bankroll was a little bit over 100,000. Now that doesn't mean that I don't have ways to get money if I need it, but that was, the original money that I played with, which was very little, a couple $100s, and I never thought it would go anywhere. I thought I'd have to go borrow money to play, but it did. It grew into a bankroll that averaged about 50,000 over the years, and got up really high at some points and got down really low at some points. And in fact, just in the last year, I remember losing a bunch of money, like literally dropping a bunch of money. And I've just had all kinds of ups and downs and still made it through, still survived. And, you're not a hero because you survived. You're stubborn. That's why you survived. You kept on going even though things looked bad, even though the trajectory may have looked bad for a while. And people say, how can you win all the time? Well, I win most of the time, not all the time, for various reasons, and I've discussed it in the past. For one thing, I refuse to quit, and sometimes it's a bad thing. If I'm down 100 or 200 and I don't want to leave a casino for 2 or 3 hours, that's not the greatest thing. But other than that, being able to milk a little bit of money out of every casino and having a method of when I'm up, I leave. When I'm down, I don't mind stretching my my spread and covering it with just an act that I have, and it's worked for all these years. When I'm making $500 to $1,000 and it turns negative, the count turns negative, I get up and leave. I'm not trying to hit these casinos for $10,000 a day, but also when I'm down 2,000, I don't mind spreading 50 to 500, 25 to 500, 25 to 300, whatever it is. But other than that, I try to keep my spread relatively small, 1 to 10 generally, maybe slightly less if it's a double deck table, and it works out. I've had some ridiculous hands in the past. I've taken pictures of some of them. I think I had one hand where there was 6 5s in the hand that came out like either all in a row or almost all in a row. I've had back-to-back aces that got aces on them when you split them, and no resplit aces. And then the next hand, same thing again. I've had so many ridiculous things. I've played plays that people wouldn't have found. They would have said, why are you playing that 6 to 5 table? And there's a reason why, because there's something else on that table that makes me money. I've played low limit tables that people will be like, why are you messing with the table that limit? Well, because there's something else going on at that table. And I never had anybody say, okay, this is how you hold card. Okay, this is how you do this, how you do that. I didn't really have any team or anything to work with. I figured out a lot of this stuff either on my own or watching videos or whatever it might be. I've never paid for any kind of subscription other than Blackjack Apprenticeship when I was on it. And I worked hard to figure this stuff out. And even before ChatGPT and all that stuff, I was analyzing things on spreadsheets, and I have them. I can show you so many different spreadsheets for so many side bets. And I figured out some things that worked out, and other things I've gone down a rabbit hole and temporarily made a bunch of money, and it ended up being nothing. And I'm like, yeah, but I made 5 figures doing this side thing, and it ended up just being luck that it worked out. So, persistence beats resistance. I say that all the time, but it's true. I've had very little heat compared to other people, but I have been backed off. But I've also had them come to back me off and talk them out of it by acting stupid. I've had them back me off, and then I came back the next day. I've had them back me off. I came back the next day, got backed off again, and came back again. So you just got to keep on fighting. You have to keep on swinging, and it's not something that's easy or simple. You have to have that personality, and I don't have a confrontational personality. Due to how I look and the way my voice used to be, I used to scare people, and I used to be very aggressive, and I learned to tone it down when I interviewed someone and they ran out of the office crying because I was like, what are you doing with your life? Where are you going to be in 5 years? All this stuff. And they ended up leaving, and someone came to me and said, hey, what did you say to that person? They were crying in the elevator. So I learned to lower my voice. I learned to soften my tone, and I learned more about customer service and how to deal with people and how to make people happy and how to smooth things out when there could be an issue, and just smooth it out, and you last longer in places. So I've been a listener to you guys. I've been an entertainer to you guys. I've been an educator to you guys, and I've given you guys evidence of how things work, and given you guys hints that I believe are worth hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars to the average person. And some people listen and some people don't, but the majority of people who I've dealt with are still doing this and still making good money doing it. And the ones that haven't, they had some life things happen, and they've had to quit doing it for one reason or another. But I would say 98%, 95% of the people that I've dealt with are still doing this, and they're making good money. And I remember one guy out of nowhere, and he didn't know anything, and he learned, and he would go every day after work, and he would lose, and he would make a little and lose and make a little, and he would be wasting so much time, hours and hours and hours out of his day to make $20. But he hung in there, and he learned the methods that we use, and now he's doing it every single day. I think the other day he said he'd gone 700 plus days, and I mean, that is a go-getter. That's someone that doesn't quit. Now he's a business owner too. That shows you too that he's a go-getter. But I've sat next to incredibly crazy people, smelly people, nasty people. I've sat next to people who wanted to go do something after we play. Hey, let's go eat something. Hey, let's go hang out. Let's be friends. And I haven't done it because I don't want to. I mean, I don't mind if we're at a casino and we're hanging out, but I don't want them to know my life outside the casino. That reminds me too. I've had pit bosses who have asked me for help with stuff. Help me fix my credit. Help me fix my marriage. Help me fix this. Help me fix that. How do I deal with this? I want to buy a house. What do I do? I want to fix my credit. What do I do? And I've gone down all those rabbit holes, and I've known their kids' names. I've known their situation. I've known everything about them, their credit score, all that stuff. And 90% of that is because I want to make money. But part of it also is because I'm a human being. I like to help people. And, it's just so many memories looking back over these 1,000 episodes that we had together. And, I'm looking at work-life balance, and I'm looking at family life balance. I'm looking at everything that I do. Right now, I'm heading to the office. It's Friday. I have to scan my ID card to show that I was working all day. Then I'm driving 400 to 500 miles minimum today to be able to play, to be able to get some time in. And I might only get a couple hours in, but I do what I have to do. I try to balance out my personal life. I try to be home every night. Sometimes it doesn't happen, but I try to sleep in my bed. I'll try to see my kids. I try to be there for my kids. But sometimes it doesn't work, and you can't do it. And I have a family that's understanding, and, we work well together. And overall, my kids are great. My wife is great. And, I'm lucky to have the family that I have, and faith and the belief that we have together, and going to church together and loving each other, it goes a long way. I've dealt with gas prices as low as 99 cents during COVID and as high as $4.50 during some other things that were going on in my area. Slept in my car. I've had food on the road. Eaten all my meals from a gas station. I've eaten nothing for a day and a half and not even noticed it. I've driven when I'm so tired. I saw the mailboxes walking out in the middle of the street, and I'm hallucinating in the middle of the night, in the middle of nowhere. I have no clue where I am. I'm going to Indian casinos, not knowing if I'm going to be backed off, if I'm going to have my money confiscated. All these different things. I met some incredible people along the way. People from all over the world, young people, old people, an incredible array of people who have gone to jail for what they do here, the kind of things that we do, people who have had all kinds of hardships because of it, and some casinos have been really good. Some casinos have been really nasty. Some of them you drive 3 or 4 hours out of your way. You're in an area that you've never been before. You drive 3 or 4 hours and you get there, and all they have is a 6 to 5, and it's smoky and nasty and dirty, and you're tired and you don't know what to do next, and there's no casinos in that direction anymore. You have to go all the way back for no reason. But we made it through. We've gone on cruises and seen all the different methods they have of catching people, capturing your bet size. And I've been to casinos where facial recognition has picked me off. I've been to casinos where they called me by my name as soon as I walked in, and by the time I drove home and got home 2 days later, there was a letter waiting for me telling me that I've been backed off and trespassed and don't ever come back here again. I've been threatened before. If you ever come to any of our properties ever again, in any location, in any state, you'll be arrested immediately. I've gone through all that, but we get through all that. We did that together. I picked up my phone and I talked to you guys, and I told you about it, and I complained, and I bitched and moaned, and I cried, and I did everything. And you guys have been there for me whether you knew it or not. And it's made a difference for me, and I know I've made a difference in other people's lives. And this podcast has really meant a lot to me, as I know it has for a lot of you guys. But it's been a good outlet for me. It's been a way that I've communicated my feelings and my emotions, my happiness, my sadness, my triumphs, my failures, all that. And this is all off the top of my head. I don't have anything written down here, but I'm just speaking from the heart here. This has been quite an incredible journey, and my journey is going to continue. We've got into deep dives about card counting and deviations and observations and ways to do things and how to talk to people and dealing with gaming and dealing with the drama that goes on with dealing with gaming people and dealing with pit bosses and coming out and saying, hey, why are you doing this? I don't like this. I want my privacy. And other people wouldn't do that. They would just walk away and they would say, okay, this location is burned. I'm never going back here again. But you know what? I didn't do that. I kept on going, and I kept on improving. I kept on working hard, and I never gave up. And it's worked out in the long run. There's been some terrible times, believe me, some really, really bad times. And I've gone on some rants on this podcast. I'm just going to walk in the office here while I'm talking to you. I've gone on some rants complaining about how terrible things have been and how upset I've been. But, we made it through, and it's not like it's the end of the world. All it is gambling. Come on. Even if you get backed off, even if something bad happens, it doesn't matter. We've gone on all kinds of journeys with different machines that we didn't know if they were beatable or not, and they have a bunch of new sneaky ones that look like they're beatable when they're really not. We learned how to play poker a little bit better and gone down those rabbit holes, and I'm still playing some online stuff now. I played some last night and made some money. Had some quick sessions as little as 5 minutes. I've had some long sessions as long as 6 hours or more. But whew, wow, the logistics of everything that I've done, it's just been incredible. Let me pop in this office here real quick, and I'll come back. All right, guys, I'm back. I hope I'm not rambling here. I'm just telling you all the things that are coming to me off the top of my mind. I've been to so many different casinos in so many areas. It's been so awesome to see the differences in the casinos. And it's funny because everyone collected chips from all the casinos they went to, and I never really did that. It's just been the last 6 months or so that I started doing it. I think I've got casino chips from like 30 or 40 casinos already, and I've only been doing it for a short time. And a lot of the ones I've been backed off from, I never even got chips from them. But I've gone through so many different rule changes, table changes, getting rid of good games, adding bad games, getting rid of certain slots, adding other slots, taking good slots out, putting fake ones in, changing in return to player on slot machines, all kinds of things, getting rid of side bets that were beatable, putting in terrible side bets with 12% house advantages. Been through chip changes where they've actually gotten rid of a certain kind of chip and given you a certain amount of time to cash the chips that you had. I've had as little as 0 and as high as 70,000 in chips. I've walked around with pocketfuls of $500 chips trying to figure out how I'm going to cash them. I met a lady one time, and she actually eventually got kicked out of the casino for being nasty to everybody, calling them names and F this and F that. But she was super nice to me, and I've seen her once or twice since then. But we went to her car one time, and I gave her a load of chips, and she just handed me cash. She said, how much is this? Oh, it's this much. Here you go. She just handed me cash and trusted me and cashed them for me quite a few times. Not quite a few times. So it's like these characters that you meet along the way. The one guy that was during COVID, and he was getting money out of his sock, and the dealer was disgusted, and she put on a mask, and then he started getting him out of his shoe, inside his sock, inside his shoe. taking off his shoe to get it, and she put on gloves. I remember that, man. That was so funny. I still remember her name too. It's so funny. And then all the different things that we tried and failed, and all the days where I was upset from the beginning of the day to the end of the day, to other times when I had unexpected wins. All of a sudden, you get this big win. You're like, where did this come from? It's a 5-figure win. I wasn't expecting it, and it just happened. And it turned a terrible day into like the most exciting day. And, having tiny, tiny, tiny edges that sometimes are so small that you feel like you're just gambling. And sometimes you're not sure if you're gambling or not, but you're trying to stick to what you're supposed to do. And you're like, man, sometimes I can't believe that this game is even positive expected value, Gone through all that. But my future plans is that I'm going to be traveling more. I'm going to be traveling further. I'm going to start having 5 or 6 trips on the books ahead of time. And I'm going to be flying to more places, even though I don't like to fly that much. I love to drive. I love to see our country. I love to see how beautiful our country is, from mountains with snow on top of them to deserts only 50 miles away. It's really an amazing country. We're so happy. We're so lucky, to have a country like this with so much diversity in the weather and the land and the people and the cultures. It's really, really amazing. And, one thing I was just thinking about is, no matter what, I stuck to what I believe in and what I think is right and wrong. And I never deviated from it. I never said it's okay to steal this. I've never said do this thing that is illegal or anything like that. And I've lost a lot of money, and a lot of my friends have made a lot more money than me. I would be retired if I made the money that they made. And I didn't do it because I thought it was a gray area, and they got away with it and never had any issues, never got in trouble. But, I felt like it was the wrong thing to do, and I didn't do it, and I missed out on a lot because of it. But we're going to have a lot of different schedule changes coming up, and, I'm just very thankful for what I have and how far that I've gone. And, I was talking to some friends of mine, and I know they've made 5 times, 10 times what I've made. And we're all humble with each other. We never talk about this guy's better than this guy, or this guy's richer than this guy, or this guy has a bigger budget or a bigger bankroll. We were just guys, and we're just hanging out, and girls, a few of them, and just hanging out and talking and helping each other out, and, pushing each other to do better and to make more. And not to give up. And not giving up is the hardest part, man. When you're going through those rough times and you feel like nothing is working, that's why keeping a spreadsheet is so important. Then you go back and you look at the spreadsheet and you're like, son of a bitch, I made $8,000. Those last 2 weeks, it felt like I lost money. But you've got to keep track of it on something. Otherwise, your emotions are going to get the best of you. And when things are going rough, you're going to feel like a failure. And you're going to want to give up, but you can't give up. So, but we've had some crazy, funny things going on. I've had people call me because they wanted sound bites from the episode that they thought were funny. I've had other people say, hey, when are you going to talk about this again? When is Coach going to do an episode again? Are we going to hear more about what happened with, 5 a.m.? These other people that I've dealt with, I've given nicknames that are different than the nicknames they use online. I've had people go online and say, oh, I've played with MW and he doesn't know what he's doing. But other people say, man, this guy's amazing. I don't know how he does it, how he lasts that long. I've had people come with me who were advantage players that ended up sleeping in the car while I went into 3 or 4 more casinos. I've had people around the country that I became friends with that would call me with plays, and I would call people in that city and say, hey, there's a play at Aria, there's a play at this place, do you want it? Do you want to split it? This guy says he wants 30%, I offer him 15%, offer him 20%, offer him a flat amount because it's going to be a big play. It's better just to pay him and have him go away than have him see that you made X amount of money. And had some interesting conversations with pit bosses and casino managers, casino staff, casino security. I've heard them talking about, you know, other people at the casino. I've had pit bosses tell me how racist casinos were, not against black people, but for black people, for women, for this, and how frustrated they were and how they were going to quit. I just had a person tell me this week that they were going to quit a casino because of how they treat people. I've had other people say, hey, we went on strike, and not because they weren't paying us well, they were paying us incredible money, but we know they can afford to pay us more, so we went on strike. It's just some crazy stuff, man. Stuff I would never do. Believe me, look, I want everyone to have a fair shot, a fair shake, but I want you to work hard for your money. All of us work hard for our money. And I personally don't feel that unions have a place like they did before. In the 20s, 1920s, maybe. In the 2020s, I think you're reaching. Now you've got situations where you have people you can't fire, teachers you can't fire because they suck, they're awful people, disgusting people, they spew hate, all that stuff, and you can't fire them. And your kids have to suffer because of it, you know. But in all this, in all those ups and downs, and getting kicked out of casinos and going online immediately before they close my card and buying a t-shirt with the points that they have, or doing something, or signing my wife up like I did recently, and taking the casino for another $900 that I wouldn't have gotten because I'm banned from that casino. So I signed up my wife, and that is not available in our state, so I drove out of state and signed up my wife and made the money off the casino. You know, we've done it all. So many weird people, so many strange things, so many incredible hands that you'll never see again. Winning by accident. I remember being at the Wynn and waiting for a restaurant, and I decided to play $100 on Pai Gow, and because it was right next to that Red 8 restaurant, and they asked me if I wanted some change for the side bet, and I'm not playing a side bet. Then the guy next to me gets a 4 of a kind on his first side bet that I'm at the table for. And of course they take a commission on Pai Gow, so now I had some chips, so I put it on the side bet, and I hit a royal flush on my next hand and won $2,500 on a royal flush. That was totally unexpected. And I remember at the end of that year being short just a little bit of my goal and not counting that $2,500 because it wasn't an advantage play, and missing my goal because of it, because of not doing it, you know. So at this point, what's going to happen? I mean, what's going to happen is I'm going to continue on with my advantage play, and I've had a great journey with you guys, and I'm always here for you guys. And if you ever need anything, you know, definitely contact me. You know, there's a lot of plays that we do that sometimes we need people for. It's good to get to know you, to go to your city and hang out with you and really understand you and your life and your family and all that stuff. And maybe we work together. Maybe we do something together. There are people that have sent me money that I've never met, but we've worked on stuff together because we talked so much back and forth and gotten to know each other and everything, and we trusted each other enough that I've sent them money, they've sent me money, whether it's Amazon gift cards or Zelle or whatever. We've done it, and you know, I like having those relationships, and I like learning from you just like you like learning from me, and hopefully we can have more of that in the future. But I guess I'm going to wrap this up. So if you have any questions or comments, my email is mwusa21@gmail.com, mwusa21@gmail.com.